Hello, ladies and gentlemen. The Bulls are on the clock for a monumental first-round pick that could decide whether they remain an NBA playoff, also ran, or a true player. The Cubs are one more blown save away from holding open fan bullpen additions. Hey, that could be you, Coop.
Well, I
The
hope
White
not.
Sox are already offering lineup spots to their first 9 fans through the gate in their search for their next star. All this and much more tonight on a big time draft night in Chicago on the voice of the Chicago sports fan, Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse. We're your boys, Coop, Brandon, Trax Hyatt, and later on in the podcast, we'll have Cleet Campbell, the Soup Campbell, coming on with us, a late edition around 9 o'clock or so. So thank you so much for joining us, friends. We will have live coverage and analysis of Bulls' first-round pick tonight. They're actually on the clock right now. So let's dive right into this while they're on the clock. If you see that they have picked, Coop, please fill me in. This segment of Chicago Sports Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, the official fantasy sports partner of Chicago Sports Podcast. Be sure to tune in to Underdog Fantasy Special Chicago Sports Podcast Monsters 2024 NFL Fantasy Football Special this Friday night with myself, Coop, and Soup. So, fellas, the Bulls are at a crossroad tonight as their draft room fires to life for the 59th draft in franchise history. They're currently stuck in NBA no man's land. Not good enough to make the playoffs, not bad enough to draft a franchise destiny-changing star a la Michael Jordan or Derrick Rose. But will they get a second-level game changer like Horace Grant or Jimmy Butler, or an instant flame-out like Mark Randall or Tate Armstrong? So right now, when we're looking at the picks that we have on here, Zach Edey just got drafted by Memphis, as I was told moments ago.
He was, yes.
Yeah, so that is unfortunate because I would have liked to seen a local guy get on by us. That would have been super freaking cool.
Especially the year he had with Purdue last year.
Oh my gosh, he was amazing, wasn't he?
I mean, he was the reason why they were where they were at. It was because of him. Everything went through him last year, especially in the tournament.
Yes. And, honestly, I think that they could really, really do something special. I mean, let's be honest, boys. You look at it from a standpoint, everybody thinks, oh, well, you got to shoot the three, this or that. But look at teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've got a guy over there. They've got two big monsters over there that can take care of the paint at the 4 and the 5. And I think Edey could really do that. I think he would be very instrumental, very helpful. And I think we need to establish that type of dominant presence down in the, down in the paint. And he can work himself a little bit to the mid-range and whatnot, but I was a little disappointed we weren't able to scoop him up. But make no mistake about it, our own Illinois legend, Terrence, he might fall to us. There's been talks today that we were looking at him and wanted to draft him, and I think this guy, he looks really good. While he struggles a little bit, Coop, on the outside perimeter, he is just an all-around blazing star, defender, shooter, rebounder. I mean, he's like a Swiss Army knife, Coop. Anything that you ask that kid to do, he will do for you, brother.
Well, a lot of speed with him too. He's very explosive from the games that I watched with him last year, which I think that's why I think that's why a lot of us would want him on our team, because I feel like a lot of his game can transfer and relate more into the NBA level because of the way he played last year. And I believe he played for 5 years. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was 5 years there as well.
Oh, because the whole COVID thing?
Yeah. So I'd have to double check that out here a second, but I think he was there for 5 years. But there was everything about him. The kid can play too. You know what's interesting about this draft here, Trax, is we're kind of talking about that. And the Bulls, I think, are going to be picking here in any second. I can't remember a draft for the NBA where I don't think there's any dominant player that has been drafted so far when I've been watching here in the first 10 picks. I feel like a lot of these players are kind of like on the same level.
Yeah, I do too. And you know what? I am excited about like the top, 15. Outside of that, I think there's a significant drop off, and we could still probably find value where we're at. But let's see exactly what happens here. I'm very excited. I honestly thought that they would trade up to get somebody, and I'm still wondering.
That's what I kept looking for my phone.
Yeah, that Zach LaVine thing. I thought for sure if we, coupled Zach attack with, something else, move up, get a pick, maybe 2 picks. I don't know. I was like expecting anything and everything other than picking where we're exactly supposed to pick. So shows you how much I know, bro.
Especially after yesterday, the Knicks in Brooklyn made that trade yesterday, where Brooklyn got back 4 future first round picks.
Picks. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this.
Bulls pick is in.
Bulls pick is in. Here we go.
That's what it says. Hold on, they're not showing it just yet. They're showing old highlights of Michael Jordan to get us hyped up here for the draft.
Oh,
which by the way, Trax, I've been watching this draft here for the last 15, 20 minutes. I gotta say that outside of watching the players get selected, this has been very boring. And if anybody is out there watching that wants to comment in the chat, I find this draft extremely, maybe because we're so used to watching the NFL draft, this draft has been very boring to watch.
Yeah, and right now what's even more boring is I am having difficulty right now trying to reload this thing or get it to go. I'm almost wondering if we're just froze on the screen. I feel like maybe
I don't see. I think it's just frozen too on my end.
Yeah, I think I need to find another something else to share. I don't think this is working out too good for us.
I think we just blame it on Cleat.
Damn it, Cleat.
Cleat, you're always doing something to mess things up for us tonight.
Yeah. But you know what? You can't rush perfection. So once he gets here, it'll all work out.
All right, here we go. He's announcing it.
Okay. Yeah, let's keep that up there. I will go ahead and look something else that might work out besides. Let's try ESPN, huh?
Montes Bazelis.
What is it?
Montes Bazelis.
Montez Bazelis.
Yep.
Can you do a quick deep dive on that guy while I look up the draft screen?
I gotta say, I was actually expecting the Bulls to take the kid out here in Tennessee, Dalton Connect. That was the rumors that kept popping up.
Yeah.
And I'm looking here because I feel like I remember reading about him last year. Yeah, he was Yeah, this dude's intense. Everything that I watched from him last year, or the highlights I've watched from him, he's a very intense kid. And some of the stuff that I watched from him was part of the G League of last year. Yeah. So yeah, this one kind of surprised me just a little bit. I really thought they were going to go with the kid here from Tennessee, where I'm in Knoxville. That's why I keep saying here in Tennessee. But I thought they were really going to go with Connect because, especially if they were looking for more, a shooter like Connect, I thought he was going to make his way down here. But
okay,
so he was a great athlete, especially in high school, and he played at Sunrise Christian Academy in Kansas. He was part of the McDonald's All-American game when he was there. And a lot of people thought that he was actually being considered to go to Kentucky, UNC, Wake Forest, Florida State. But he ended up going to the G League because he thought that was his fast track. Yeah, I remember this from last year because I remember he had a whole bunch of buzz coming out of high school. And a lot of these colleges were looking at him, but he ended up going to the G League route. And not the only player to do that, by the way. I feel like that's kind of what some of a lot of these younger players are starting to look more so as. And
6'9", 197 pounds.
Yeah,
I like
he's a tall kid.
Height. I like the weight. Yeah, man.
And he was really tearing it up on the G League. So, but it's very interesting. This one surprised me. I thought he was actually going to fall a little bit further down in the draft. Well, this is why you can't ever believe mock drafts, Tracks, because every mock draft that you keep reading, I didn't think he was going to come here. So, but yeah, he's got a lot of size. And I think that could translate well for us too.
Well, people right away are already Darius, one of our superstars that is rising early. who had just checked out with us, for our podcast and whatnot. Great co-host, man. Love his vibe, love his energy, love his knowledge. He just says that, he is definitely NBA centric for sure, but more of a Swiss Army knife. He says the buzz is the pick, not crazy about it. So, I mean, Cliff just said, hey, Bulls needed a much higher pick. You don't get great talent in the NBA side of a top few guys. I agree with him. And they were extremely unlikely to draft a game changer tonight at the 11th pick, as far as all the average analysis and this, average draft class. But I thought, who did you think we were going to get? I honestly thought we were going to go after Terrence, bro, a local legend, you know what I mean, from Illinois.
I thought Dalton Connect, right here at UT, who put up great numbers last year. He was a big reason why UT got to where they were at in the tournament last year, and he's a great shooter. And that's somebody who I thought the Bulls were going to go after. And I
Yeah.
think I was trying to see. I think I was just seeing if he just got selected here. No, not yet. But that's really everybody, and that was the mock draft. All the mock drafts that I have read either said the Bulls were going to trade out of that pick or they were going to take Connect here from Tennessee. And sure enough, they don't.
Yeah. Thunder's on the clock. It'll be interesting to see what they got because, we could have got their 12th pick if we would have parlayed that with, the pick that we got for the guard. I was excited about that. I mean, I think that's good measurable 6'8", this guy, Matas is a small forward. So obviously we're trying to get length in there, 6'8", 6'9". So we'll see what they can do together.
Well, I think part of this two tracks is especially after that trade. Now we got Giddey here from Oklahoma City. And now they're really trying to go to more of that youth route because Giddey, who's been in the league for a couple of years, the guy's only 21 years old. So that was and I think that might have been kind of the reason why we probably didn't take Connect in this draft because we got Giddey coming in here now as that guard. And now you pair up with our new draft pick here with a little bit of size. And I think that's what they're going at here. Now, the question is, though, Trax, when we see this, they didn't make the trade, but what's next for the Bulls of the league? Do they try to go a trade route now? Is DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, are we going to try to get younger here, or are they going to stay with this team and try to build again? I think they really got to change it.
I think they moved closer with Giddey, but I also think that if they pull the pin and trade, any one of their stars, especially, Zach Attack, I feel like we could really get some depth. And now, will we be closer? No, but we obviously need a change and we need some defense because that just left the building. And it's important if we're going to get 2 or 3 players, whatnot, from Zach that we got to do something like that. And I think a lot of that has to do with, dumping some salary and shaking it up because the regime that we have right now is not working. We have to do something different. I don't know what's out there. There's been some rumors, there's 3 teams that are obviously interested in Kevin Garnett because the Suns are shopping him. I definitely think that the Bulls are in on that. I don't know how serious they are, but what that would look like would be pretty freaking cool. I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's the same Kevin, KG that we're used to. But I definitely think that Kevin is definitely somebody that could help move the needle for us. You know what I mean? He's definitely a game changer, bro.
Which I've also seen him connected to a couple of other teams.
Durant, not Garnett. I'm telling my age, dude. I'm like,
well, you got the Chicago in you. That's what you were thinking. But yeah. I think the Phoenix Suns are another interesting team looking to start blowing some things up. And I've seen his name in trade rumors with quite a few teams. So you got to wonder what's going to happen here after the draft when it comes to him. But it gives us in a really unique position right now because the first couple of moves already, we got a little bit of size. We got a guard here with the trade, and now it's like, what do we do next? Now I think it's going to be one of our bigger name players are going to get traded. I just don't
Oklahoma just picked up this kid from Serbia, point guard 6'6", 203. That was something that I thought that we might be looking at if we weren't going, big man like, Eddie or something like that. I definitely thought we were going to go after, somebody like that, especially if you're going to move, Zach and load up. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I don't know about this G League kid. Hoping
Well,
to hear more.
I was looking at his numbers from last year. He's a very durable player. He played 32 minutes a game last year, but he averaged 14 points a game. So
Wow.
it kind of looks like he's dropped off just a little bit, even compared
Oh,
to
okay.
the year before. And that's kind of what they were saying too. That his numbers kind of decreased just a little bit. 6
Yeah.
rebounds a game. I guess that's something you can put into context for how he played last year. But
Yeah.
everything that I keep reading here, so I'm kind of scrolling through my X feed, and I'm following some of the beat writers and people covering the NBA, and
Yeah.
kind of to what our chat says right now, that this was kind of a gamble pick.
Yep. Hey, really quick shout out to the chat. We got over 200 in the chat. But you all know what to do. Leave a 5-star review. Be a friend, tell a friend. Hit that like button and subscribe. Smash that notification bell. Thank you so much for showing up to our the 2024 Bulls live draft. And we're very excited to have you guys. Hopefully, this changes our future. But so far, we're not really excited about what's going on. And
Another name on the clock, Devin Carter. I see these two guys. We got.
yeah,
If you guys look at our screen right now,
yes.
Connect and Carter both still on the board right now. Those are two guys in the mock drafts that you read that were projected to go higher than where they're at right now.
Yes. You know what? Let's get back to Giddy really quick. Like we're waiting for some more action and what's the next shoe to drop. I believe is the Sacramento is on the clock, right?
Yeah, Sacramento. Yep.
He's Giddy's a multi-talented 21-year-old wing who can impact the game from the wing on the drive and from Caitlin Clark deep range 3-point country style. He's great assets and liabilities as a player. I'm not quite sure what his liabilities are, except for the fact I don't hear a lot about defense, and people are a little worried about that. And I don't know if that's really that type of that big of an issue, other than just the fact that a massive defensive player left the building. So to us, it seemed, could it be just a little bit bigger of an issue than it really is? I mean, maybe this kid does play decent defense, or average defense type, but I mean, is that the main issue there? And then just whether he could be an everyday starter, you know what I'm saying, Coop?
Well, yeah, there's a couple of things I think when it comes to Giddy. First off, Oklahoma City is so stacked on their team
Yes.
last year, and that's a team that they know they're in win mode now. Like their window is probably, I feel like they've gotten there a little bit sooner. So a lot of these players that have started to develop there, I didn't think there was any room left for Giddy. He was kind of like that role player,
For sure.
and I think it's a better situation for him now here in Chicago because he's going to be able to be more of himself. He's going to have more playing time. And you guys got to remember too something about Giddy. He was the good thing is he won't face the charges now. He was under investigation for inappropriate behavior, and that was in Oklahoma City. So those are some things that were kind of going through him last year too at the same time. But this is going to be a fresh start. I feel like sometimes Tracks, when it comes to a fresh start, I say this all the time when we talk about the Bears. We do talk a lot about Bears on the show and a lot about baseball on the show. Sometimes a change of scenery, and this dude's only like 21 years old. So a change of scenery, get a fresh new start. You can go into the system and you can start building yourself up. And I think this could be a good move for the Bulls. And I think Caruso going back to Oklahoma City, they're looking for pieces to go win a championship right now. And Caruso is going to be that guy. We saw him play the Bulls here. We saw his intensity. We saw what he was like, how he fit into Billy Donovan's game plan. And I think he's going to be a perfect fit for them. So I think this could be a win-win overall.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree too. But let's face it. The way the guy plays, we love the way that he plays. He is a blue collar, roll up your sleeves, play rough with, just like reckless abandonment. Just throw his body on the floor, do whatever it takes to smash that ball, get the ball, steal it, block it, whatever it takes by any means necessary. Guess what that happens to somebody that's on the other side of 30 now? it
Mhm.
really breaks your body down and your shelf life diminishes. So as much as I think he's going to fit better because he's not really required to do as much with that star-studded front to back bottom roster. The whole roster, top to bottom in Oklahoma, is just stacked, bro. So for
And I'm
him
looking
to
at this.
come in, he's just like putting the cherry on top, you know. But as far as Sam Smith, his take on Giddy, he says he's a player, a pure and plus play facilitator. He facilitates the play very well and a great passer with a smooth shooting stroke. That to me, coming from Sam Smith, bro, that's pretty good, bro. I could really like some of those intangibles. You know what I'm saying, Coop?
Yeah, well, yeah, if you got a guy like Sam Smith saying that, a legendary writer here, you're definitely going to take his word. And I mean, he's a durable player. He played in 80 games last year, but this just kind of goes to show you how stacked Oklahoma City was. He averaged 25 minutes a game and averaged 12 points a game. So I feel like with his new opportunity coming here, that stuff's going to go up. I feel that minutes is definitely. I feel like the minutes played is going to go up, and I feel like the points per game is going to go up with him as well.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the deal. You like you just said, you've seen games where he scored, 28 points, whatever, triple doubles out the wazoo, broke records. I believe he's one of the only players in NBA history to set a phenomenal triple double record within like 25 minutes or less or something crazy like that. I mean,
100% field goal percentage. Yeah, in less than 25 minutes. That's pretty insane, man, when you think of that for a
yeah.
second.
I mean, here's the deal. Do you think everything that we gave up with the all NBA defense of Alex Caruso was worth the price of Giddy's untapped potential?
I think it is because where are the Bulls going from here? I mean, here's a question here, Trax. I don't think any of us know what they're going to do here in this offseason.
No, we
Uh,
don't.
and I think a guy like Alex Caruso is a veteran player that wants to win, and a player. He's the type of player at a piece that a winning team that is trying to fight for a championship next year. He's the type of player that those teams are looking for, and Oklahoma City got him, and he's going to fit very well with them. Giddy is a young player coming here trying to find his stride, and I just gave you his minutes played last year. His minutes played are going to go way up now. I think they
Yeah.
will, depending how he plays coming into this offense. But I think the next question is what do the Bulls go from here, and what does our front office do? Are we going to make some trades here? Are we going to blow this thing up and get ready for the draft next year? Or are they going to try to be competitive again?
Yeah, I mean, it could be any one of those things. And I mean, here's the thing with Giddy though. Do the Bulls hope they have the wingman and Giddy they never got in Lonzo Ball? I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to do their due diligence and they kind of see where this Lonzo Ball thing is rolling, And has Lonzo played his last game in a Bulls uniform due to his never-ending health and injury issues? I feel like he has. I wish the young man well, but his whole track record, not really a track record, but the track record of his injury for him to be able to walk and play basketball just at a regular street level, to jump up and down, to shoot, to do things like that. I mean, that in of itself is a medical miracle. So I don't know if you put your put everything, the Bulls organization on his back and say, you are, because that's what he is. When he's on the court and he's doing his due diligence and he's facilitating the ball, passing it, doing everything that he does, running fast breaks, all of that, setting up plays, because that's what we need. We need guys that set up, and that's what Ball is good at. You know what I mean? So, and that really cuts back on the ISO. Too much ISO can be bad. Some ISO is good, and it's much well needed in today's NBA. But a facilitator like Ball, I think that's maybe what they're looking at in Giddy, obviously, with his track record of all these triple doubles. So, like I said, do you think Ball is pretty much done with the Bulls, or what do you think is going to happen now, bro?
Man, there's no saying. He obviously is trying to play next year, and that's what we keep hearing here. That they're coming out and saying that he's going to be ready to go, and he looks the best that he's looked in a while. I just don't know how you can say that, keep that consistency like that. because of how hurt he's been. And the sad thing is, though, when he played for us, when he first got here, he looked great. Like I guess I didn't realize because I didn't watch a lot of his time in LA, and then you see him come over, and then he gets hurt, and he hasn't been healthy. But at the same time, I'm like, is he another type of player that's trying to prove himself? I don't necessarily think it's going to be with the Bulls. I think it could be with somebody else, or do they hold on to them? They see where the season goes, and then they trade them. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that because he
Yeah,
hasn't played. He hasn't played in a couple years. So what our
right.
team's going to take a flyer on him? Are the Bulls? Is he going to try to prove himself with the Bulls? It's a great mystery because it can go either. I think it can go either way.
So the Kings ended up picking up Devin Carter.
Devin Carter, I really like that pick. I
6'2",
like him in Providence, man. I thought he was going to be a top 10 pick.
6'2", 193 from Providence. I think that's a solid pick for them. Little on the short side, but that's all right.
That's probably why he fell.
That's Portland's MO, man. We've seen short guards out there before, so that's all right. On the clock right now is the Heat. We'll see what they're going to do. They were 8th in the Eastern Conference. 46-36 was their record. We'll see who they pick up,
Bub Carrington, they just picked him from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Bub Carrington, 6'4", 195 out of Pittsburgh. So,
yep.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to put anything past the Miami Heat. They draft well every single year. So I feel like they're going to find some role for him because they're so well coached, and he's going to probably go there and be a stud.
Yeah. I mean, that's and that's the thing also with the Sixers. They have to really look at some big guys because I think at any point in time they could lose some big bodies over there, and that could be something that I don't think that what they have was going to last. It's just not built to last. So
I'm Bub Carrington too, by the way. 13 points a game last year, very good passer as well, and I feel like that's the reason why he's going to fit so good in Spoelstra's system because every single player on that team has some type of role, and he can go in there, he can shoot, and he can pass, and I think he's going to get a claim.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. I mean, that in today's NBA, when you're getting ready to, transcend and break through to that next level, you have to do all of the team, all of the team plays right. You have to be able to pass. You have to be able to rebound, scrap, do all those sort of things. And getting back to Giddey, I think that's basically why they took a really good look at him. And it's almost has like that feel of like, that is our like solid draft pick for this year, Coop, because that guy has already proven that he can make it in the NBA because he has. And any one of these guys are all projected players. That does not mean that they will transcend and that they will perform at a level in the NBA. These are all projected players that may or may not, they have potential, but let's see what they do with their potential. Not saying that they'll do bad or wish bad on any one of them, but they're not all going to make it. They don't all make it. You know what I mean, bro?
Well, that's what's so interesting about the draft this year. There's not one player that you look at that is a dominant guy that's coming out. I think any of the first 10 to 12 picks of this draft, any one of these guys can go in there and produce. And I think that's what's so interesting. And I was trying to find anything I could find this year of any of these players that would stand out even more to me than normally would. But I feel like the 7th pick just is just as good as the 10th pick this year because there's no dominant player.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, it's anybody's guess. I think the most dominant player for me would have been Terrence, but also, I'm favorable to the area, and from Illinois, I just think it would have been a really good feel. I think it would have been cool to pair him with other guys on our team that are, from Illinois and stuff. And it's just like, it's something that you've seen the Bears do recently that just feels right and it feels good. And, to that point, getting back to the Bears, centric side of things, the Bears did some things this year in the free agency that potentially was just like drafting. I mean, in terms of using draft capital, when you look at a guy like Keenan Allen, not saying that Giddey is a Keenan Allen type guy because obviously he does not have the longevity in his sport that he does, but proven production at a high level, not really high, but high enough, as high as you can go with the minutes that are available, right? But when you look at it in terms of like Keenan Allen with the fourth pick or the fourth round, you're not going to get a guy like that in the fourth round, bro. And you might not get a guy like Giddey at pick 11. He was originally picked at like 5 or 6. So that's what you get if we would have picked 5 or 6 in the draft. If we go look back in this draft and you look at 5 or 6, you will see a guy that's Giddey type material. So I feel pretty good about that. I think it was, like you said earlier in the beginning of the pod, that it was definitely, you're changing the age. You're getting younger, 9 years younger to be exact. So I don't want to see a bunch of youth. And we've got to have somebody in there that can be a veteran leader. Who on your radar would be a good plug and play to come right in and get this team going? I've seen something today, and I think it was just a fan that was hopeful, right? Beat writer talking about potentially Jimmy Butler coming back to Chicago. I don't think he's leaving Miami. I don't think he's leaving Miami, but that would be super cool, bro.
Yeah. The start come back to where he started, man. I see. I am the opposite right now with this Bulls team. Right, I feel like they need to blow this whole thing up. I think it needs to be blown up. I know next year's draft is supposed to be very tough, very good, with star players coming out. And I've just had enough. I've had enough of watching an eighth seed. I've had enough of these playing games.
Yeah,
it's just not working right now. And I think if you can get anything for DeRozan and Levine and any of our veterans right now, get younger, get some of these guys in here, and then you can start getting into the draft next year. Because I feel like if we start rolling some of these guys out or try to go make another trade for another veteran player, it just has not worked for this team.
Well, and I think that might have been where we could have did something. Like Cliff said, Keenan Allen, Montez Sweat, Bates, all picked up with draft picks, right? Good quality players. They're going to produce at the NFL level. You don't have to worry about a drop off to where they're just not going to make it, right? Like Velus Jones or something like that. Like there is that chance where a guy comes out and he has a Velus Jones type, career. And we really can't afford to have that in, like you said earlier.
Well, it's interesting, Trex, because I remember that draft. Now that was the draft, the first for our regime with Poles and Eberflus. I didn't love that Velus Jones draft pick. I thought they were kind of reaching with that, and I don't know. I mean, I think it's gonna. And I know we're not talking Bears right now, but I think I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's gonna make the team this year for special team play, but he's also one of those guys that I feel like is on the bubble as well.
Well, I think, and he's also looking at the fact that the team will make it wherever they go because of the team of itself, not because of him. And that just means that you're expendable. But getting back to the point of when you take, like what Cliff's saying, all with draft picks, these guys, Keenan, Sweat, Bates, if the Bulls follow that blueprint, I think they can find success because we need guys right now. If you take this, it's already too late, but maybe next year, if we can take Zach and get, say, 3 players for him, whatever, and a future draft pick for next year, that would be cool. I could see that. But at the end of the day, you still need the Montez Sweat because he is the guy that is going to make everything happen for that defense, right? We saw it, and we need that for the Bulls. We need that guy, that veteran leadership to come in that's already proven. That's not too old, not too young, but just right to where we still feel comfortable for our immediate future and our long-term future down the road that can show these youngsters how to play. Because with the older statesman, Alex Caruso, he left the building. But let's be honest, guys, he was not a guy that did everything. He did what he did to the best of his ability. And we already had him on the team and we saw what we were. We were a playing team. No, we're not really moving the needle. But I think with Giddey, we do get better. I do think that was the first, shoe that dropped. I don't think it's over. I really do think now. I did see something today. And like I said, all of this stuff is crazy. Anything could happen. I don't think anybody really knows what the hell they're talking about, Coop. But we'll just throw it out there anyways because we give news, we give rumors, we give insight, but we at the end of the day we don't know shit. And I don't think
that's
a lot
why,
of people.
but
I don't
that's why
think
we
a
got
lot of other
complete on.
people out there do. But I do think that they do have a valid point about this. And they said that could we all of a sudden play nice with Zach, keep him here, and group him with Giddey? Because if Giddey is our future Ball, and Ball made everything roll for our team, he was a distributor. Let's face it, Coop. He made our team much different, brother. Our team looked night and day better, right, bro? So if Giddey can be that guy that Ball was, do we keep Zach on the team? Is there not enough? Are we not getting enough juice, from Zach to even make it worthwhile, bro? You know what I'm trying to say to you?
Yeah, but it's also gonna be it's all based around health too. So if
Right.
if he says and like their camp is kind of saying that he's ready to go and he's starting to jump on that knee now and it's not giving him a whole lot of problem because that's what he tried before and it didn't work out so well the first time around, but it looks like he's trying to do it. He's trying to accomplish that. I think for him, it would be best for him to come back to the Bulls to where he's at, where he's comfortable with. And then if they decide to blow this up, like we all think, or I think they will, but who knows with this regime? We just don't know.
Hey, everybody. Cleet the Soup Campbell has made it in the building with us.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining us, brother.
Hey, good to see you, Trax. How you doing, my friend? Coop, great to see you. Well, fellas, great job.
Thank you for this awesome show outline that's just made it so easy for us to navigate and be able to be in here and share this awesome draft. We got over 250 in the building right now that are watching this live draft. So we're very excited that to have your attention, even though the Bulls probably don't deserve your attention right now with what they're doing. But who knows? We might get a guy that just might transform our team. It's not too late. We could still draft in the first. There's plenty of time on board. Cleet, what do you think about our draft pick that we got?
Well, I tell you what, it's a hometown roll of the dice, Tracks. I think it's not a bad move. It's not a bad move. I understand Terrence Shannon. That's the guy I would have rolled with. That's the hometown guy I would have rolled with. But you look at Matas, Coop, and Tracks. I mean, gosh, you're talking about the definition of a high ceiling guy, 6'9", 195 pounds, great leaper, passer. He's really good at creating shots. The thing about this kid, Tracks, just 19 years old. So we're talking about a guy who we don't have a lot of film on or tape on. We don't know how that's going to translate to the NBA. But when it comes to ceiling, I mean, the sky might be the limit for this kid. But obviously, we just don't know. The Bulls have rolled the dice here. They were going to have to do that at 11 anyway. But want to get your fellas' thoughts on this. I think in terms of best available player, I don't think they really went wrong here. I would have gone Shannon, but I think this is a good backup option.
Why do you think that Shannon was so far behind this? Has Shannon even been picked up yet, fellas?
No, I think he's still out.
He has not.
Yeah, he is still out there. And Trax, I would be surprised if he's waiting till late in the evening, Trax. Obviously he has all the legal stuff behind him. That should not be putting, team should be holding that against him. But yeah, I am stunned too, particularly with the way he played in the NCAA tournament, Trax and Coop. I mean, you want to talk about an NBA audition. That's what it was. And that's really what convinced me that this guy could be an elite NBA guard down the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I didn't think. I mean, Coop, did you think he'd fall this far, brother?
No, I did not. I thought I was thinking a top 15 pick, but there's a couple of things so far that have surprised me with this. I mean, the first one, when you start looking at some of the picks, I mean, Zach Edey was not projected to go in the top. I didn't think he was going to go in the top 10. I thought he was going to go further than that. So that was kind of my first surprise. And Cleet, to what you said a second ago, I was saying when we started the show that Dalton Connect, I saw all the links of Dalton Connect, the Tennessee kid where I'm at here in Knoxville. Yeah. I thought he was going to go 10, 11, or 12 just for his shooting ability. to. I know he's a little undersized, but I thought for his shooting ability, he'd probably fall to us or even further one of the teams around us. But he still hasn't been chosen yet either. So there's a couple of surprises here.
Cleet, let me ask you a quick question, real quick. Number 6. Well, do you think the Bulls will finally move on from disgruntled, often injured Zach LaVine this summer, or will his max $215 million contract continue to be a salary cap liability for this club in 2024 to
Yeah,
25? I was talking to Coop before you got here earlier, brother, while you're handling your business out there, being super dad. And you know, he was bringing up the pack of the often injured, but I really didn't. It's been a while since I thought about the disgruntled part. And you know, so many times with the media, you don't really know if that's actually the case. But I felt like I saw some of that on the court this year, so I'm starting to side with yes, he was disgruntled. What are your what's your take on all this with the Zach LaVine?
Well, I think, yeah, he will get moved, Tracks, and the Bulls will eat a bad contract in return for it. But I think he will get moved because it's the only option for both parties. Both parties need a fresh start. You know, the theme with Zach, he had the injury issues obviously last season, but then there's a lot of the fan base, whether true or not, Tracks, as you said, we never know with the media, but who thinks basically he shut it down himself in terms of, he's like, my rehab, I'm going to take my time. There's no real rush to go get back because let's face it, this team wasn't going anywhere. But it's time for a fresh start for him. It's time for a fresh start for this team. And I mean, like Coop said, we're in the middle of an overall here, whether it's our 12th or 13th since the Jordan era, who knows? But Zach LaVine right now, it just, there's not a place on this roster for him.
No.
And I think the same thing with Lonzo. I think we're going to see a Lonzo buyout Tracks coming here soon. And I think it's one of those situations where, yeah, you're going to eat a lot of money. You're going to eat a lot of cap money. But in the long run, I think it's really the only play you have because these two guys going forward don't fit in where you're going.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what's sad about that? Sorry, Coop, but you know what's sad about that whole deal is like he was what we needed him to be when he was healthy.
Yeah.
And I feel like because we pressed him, because we pushed him so hard, I think that's where a lot of the wear and tear came from. If we had more players, same thing with Rose. If we had enough players around him, he wouldn't have had to work as hard as he did. We would have been able to not salvage, but extend his length of play. And I think really that's what it comes down to. And I think that's why a lot of teams are in this like 3 superstar type deal because they realize if one goes down and that's the only one you have, you're dead in the water. If you have 2 go down, you're worse than, and you have 2, you're at the same place as where you had 1. If you have all 3, then you see what happened to Golden State, and now you've got a guy like Clay that's being shopped around right now. And you almost wonder if healthy, would he be somebody that we should take a stab at? A guy like Clay that's been, through the NBA championships, the rise and the falls, the highs and the lows, that can, he's a marksman, sharpshooter. Is that a guy that you guys would like to see on our roster with, our new guard that we just picked up,
You know what? At this point, I'm saying let's give it a go. I mean,
at this point,
at this point, we've tried everything else, right, Trax? I mean, what? I don't think it could be anything worse than what we've had the last couple of years. And like you said, this is a guy too. When he's locked in, when he's healthy, he can be a game changer. And that's what this team needs now. This team needs game changers, guys that can change the game 82 nights a season, both at home and on the road.
Do you kind of feel like too? I was reading some of the reports about Golden State and kind of where they're at right now. They're kind of at some crossroads, and maybe I could be wrong, but I almost feel like that relationship is that coming to an end here soon with Klay Thompson. I don't know if they're necessarily going to bring him back.
Yeah, you wonder. It's been what a ride it's been, but I think some in the NBA particularly, all relationships 9 times out of 10 usually end. I mean, it's very rare that you see the Kobe Bryants or the Tim Duncans anymore, Coop. And I can see that happening, because Golden State, they're in a position where they've got to get younger outside of Steph. And as great as Clay is, this guy's, I mean, he's got what, 400,000 NBA miles on the odometer. You think about it. I mean, he's played probably an extra 3 seasons with all of his playoff games. So yeah, I can see them moving on from him. Now in terms of players for Zach, what do you think? I think Sacramento could be a player too. I would think. The package I think with Sacramento, if that's the player that the Bulls end up going with, would probably be Harrison Barnes and probably 3 or 4 players. But yeah, Golden State intrigues me because they can give a lot in return.
Yeah. I'm not really a fan of the roster, not the roster. I said that wrong. Sorry. I'm not really a fan of what they're really giving up. I think there's like one guy on the radar that I'm semi-interested in with Sacramento, but Barnes, I don't really think he moves the needle for us. I think more at that point, it's just getting rid and getting some numbers and some bodies out on the court. And I'm not even sure how long we would, keep Barnes in the building. But if that's what it takes to move and do the salary dump, I think that's what it'd be at. Hey, Cleet, I got a quick question for you. Yeah. Now that you're in the building, do you have everything up and running, all the notes and everything? If you don't mind, I'd like you to take over from the pick is in, breaking down the Bulls pick at number 11, and just kind of move forward, because you've organically orchestrated this whole thing, and that would be super special. Yeah. I'll just keep the chat going, and sure. be here for you too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, you bet. Trax, brother, no problem at all. Yeah. So let's talk about like Trax is saying about the pick is definitely in for the Bulls. They have gone with the hometown kid, ladies and gentlemen. Coop, I know you Trax have been breaking that down a little bit. Can not to make you repeat yourself if you've covered this already, but for Matas, how do you see he fits into this Bulls roster for 2024, 2025?
I think this is exactly what they were looking for. They're like kind of with the trade, with the Giddey trade, they're trying to get some to be younger, but the Giddey, you got the shooting with him, and you got a little bit of the size here. And it's kind of interesting because I was at the beginning of the show, we were going over his stats last year. We were just going over, or I was kind of looking at a little bit from what he did. 14 points a game, very durable too, like 32 minutes a game. And I feel like that's something you can build on. We need those type of players that be consistent, those type of consistent players, those players that can be out there on the court, and those players that we can build from. And I feel like he can do that. I think you brought up an interesting point that you said you liked the pick, because I was reading when that first happened, about 5 minutes after it happened, I was going through X and I was going through all the experts. And this is why you never believe experts.
Yeah.
Tracks, because they were all saying this is too much of a move. You don't know what you're getting here. This is too high of a pick. But then I told Trax, I'm like, but this whole entire draft, there's not one major superstar. I feel like the 3rd pick and the 8th pick and the 10th pick, you can get the same type of quality of players in this entire draft, because there's nobody here that is blowing you away.
Yeah. That good point too, Coop. At this point of the draft, every year you always see this, and we found this with Jimmy Butler, Trax, and Coop a few years ago. You will find a perennial all-star in the second half of the first round. It's just all about the work you've done, the scouting, the scouting, the research. I mean, this is where all those miles, that your scouts put in really are proven, whether they've done their job or not. So, yeah, I think, I see him coming in next year and being a big rotation guy right away. But
Cleet, I think that's it. Kind of parlay that thought and what you said earlier, and Coop all parlays with my thought, and that's the fact that they're playing it safe.
Yeah,
they're getting guys that are already proven. Giddey's already proven in the NBA. The other guy that we just drafted, Montez, is G League. So he's semi-proven in the fact that he's been at that level, not the college level, but the next level up. So he is ascending. So at some level, he will, whether it be on the Bulls in the NBA or even just at our G League for Windy City, right? So, it could be one of those things or whatever. Let's hope that, the sky's the limit for this kid. But I think that they're trying to play it as safe as possible and get as much or whatever production that they can without making any risks, because it goes back to what you're saying, that Zach is basically out of the building. So now, like, that's where I think that's where a guy's going to come in that we're going to get out of, and we're going to see him actually be a roster, like a day one starter for us, because you have to put somebody with that type of trade with Zach. Somebody has to break the starting roster, bro. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And you're also looking tracks, I think, you're looking for a guy that's going to work well with Kobe. I mean, you want to look, I think that's the big critical here is how is he going to flow into this offense? How
Yeah.
keep rhythm and consistency, because we've got a superstar ready for his breakout. I look at White tracks and I see Jimmy Butler, like his last year with the Bulls, right? I mean, just on the verge of superstardom. And that's what you want. You want a guy he's gonna have good chemistry with too, and guys that are gonna be able. You could put the two of them on the court every night, regardless of the opponent. And at the worst case, you're gonna get 40 points out of those two guards.
Yeah, for sure. I really think that's great. I think that's going to help move the needle a little bit. And at the end of the day, we've basically been paying for guys to not even show up at all, and just take up roster space, and it's just like dead money, right, boys? So
And I think that's what's so aggravating about last year. I think as any Bull fan, that was so aggravating about going and the way they played and being in that play-in game. I think it really angered all of us Bulls fans out there. Like, okay, guys, this is enough.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing about when you think about it, like Trax has talked about all the dead money. Now, obviously, nobody could have seen the troubles that Lonzo Ball was going to have. I mean, that's just bad luck, and every NBA team has issues like that. But the fact that the amount of dead money, underperforming dead money too, and just the inconsistency. I mean, look, even as a guy, and we all love DeRozan. We all love what the heart and the fire that he brings. But the fact that he will be there, 2 out of 3 games, and that third game he's just invisible. That's the type of inconsistency that has really defined why this team has been, outside looking in the Eastern Conference playoff picture the last 2 years.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Dustin? Thanks for joining us, bro. I know you're at work. Hopefully you can hide around the corner and rifle off some pizzas at your boss if he sees you. Throw some dough at him.
Hey, tell him it's okay with us if you could do that.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I forgot. Dustin is the boss. He's like the boss's boss over there. So.
Dustin is the man. Hey, great to see the whole crew, everybody, chopping. Guys, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on this big basketball sports night in Chicago. I'm the voice of the Chicago sports fan, of Chicago sports podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse. Brandon Trax Hyatt, our fearless leader and executive producer, the great American DJ, Matt Cooper, Clint Campbell, along with you as well, friends from Iowa. Guys, obviously this is what we do. We make judgments way too early when but that's what you do when you're breaking down a draft as it happens. Coop, can I go to you, as you've been following the ticker on ESPN and the commissioner is about here to avail another pick for you? Who has been the best pick of what pick that a team has made so far tonight has impressed you the most?
There's a couple of directions. That's funny you say that, because I was looking as we were talking about a draft coverage here. I was kind of looking around a little bit about what I like and what I didn't like. My favorite one, the one I like the best, is from the Houston Rockets getting Shepard from Kentucky. I like Reed Shepard a lot. I know he's a little bit undersized. I think he's 6'1", 6'2". But he's a very smart kid. He's got the IQ on the court. He's very versatile. I think he averaged around 12 points a game last year for that team. For a team, well, let's face it, that underachieved in the tournament.
Yeah.
But he made 53% of his shots. And I watched quite a bit of Kentucky basketball. Living here in Knoxville, there's a couple things that you watch. You watch a lot of Tennessee, and then Kentucky is not that far from here. So you see a lot of UK games, especially split the time when I lived in Louisville. And I just really love the way that kid plays. I love the way he plays, and I love how smart he is out on the court. So for the Rockets, who are really trying to build up, and I feel like they got a good thing going with them, I think at the number 3 pick with them, that's been my favorite pick of the draft so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mine was the Edie pick. I was very happy to see him go early. I was really concerned that he would get picked late and just kind of fizzle out, like Luke Herringody. He out of Notre Dame. He just had a really good college career, played very well, and then you don't really hear much from him anymore. And I just don't want to see that with Edey, because he did so good. And like Coop was saying earlier, like he basically made Purdue go to where they went. You know what I mean? That such a high level, man. If you take Edey off there, there's no way they get to where they went, bro.
Yeah. Hey, Check's following up on that, brother. You're right there. You're right there in Boilermaker country. What does that mean to the people of Indiana to have this star? As like you said, he has taken Purdue where they've never been before. How much pride, how much home state pride is there to see Zach go so high?
I think there's a lot. I mean, even the Bridges scoreboard. The huge Purdue fans. Some of the one of the owners, Jeff, he went to Purdue. And there's other people in and out of there that went to Purdue, alumni, played sports, whatever. We've interviewed one of them, the starting pitcher of Purdue. He came in, and it was really cool. He was able to do something with Jim Miller, but big fans of Purdue. I mean, the crowds were undeniably amazing. Like some record, like when I drove by Bridges, I'm like, holy cow, man. I'm probably not even going to find a seat. One night I didn't even find a seat. There was a birthday party of like 50, and there was a table of 2 that was open, but it had a reserved sign on there. And I took the reserve sign and I slid it under my plate so I could have somewhere to sit. And I'm lucky that some of the people didn't show up, because I would have definitely gave my seat up. But I'm telling you, bro, it was pack to pack, wall to wall. And it doesn't stop there with Bridges, but that's like a local, bar that we support. They support us. They're our sponsor. Also, I want to say worth mentioning with the Bears this year, it's going to be like that every week, boys. This is some serious synergy. This is some serious energy. It is going to be unbelievable. The businesses are going to be thriving. People like Coop, he's, as far as like, sports media, entertainment and all that, they're going to do great. Everybody's going to do great, man. It's going to be a really good year. And that's why it's important for me, for the Bulls to get this right in the draft, in the trades and free agency and everything, and really do their due diligence. And I'm hoping that what has happened to us in the past is you almost see like the 85 Bears push the other, the other teams in Chicago to like do better. Everybody wanted to do better with, in the Jordan era, and it was unbelievable. It was amazing. I'm hoping this happens with us. You got Connor Bedard. We got, what'd you say, Friday is, we'll be
Friday. Yep, Friday. Blackhawks will try to find his wingman in the NHL draft.
Yeah, and we'll be covering that, by the way, guys. It'll be the same 3 right here.
Absolutely,
great.
Folks. Don't forget, that will be Friday, as Track said. Also, our Underdog Fantasy 2024 NFL Fantasy Football Special also coming up Friday night with Track, Scoop, and yours truly, folks. As Track said, friends, don't forget, your Northwest Indiana Chicago sports headquarters with the Hall of Fame menu is indeed Bridges Scoreboard, your best place to watch the Bears this fall, and of course the Sox and Cubs every night this season. Folks, we will keep that NBA tracker going for you, that draft tracker going for you as the picks come in. We will let you know where Terrence Shannon is going if he goes before we call the night tonight, guys. But fellas, really quickly, let's switch on over if we could, fellas.
Hey, Coop.
Go ahead.
Cleat, also, don't forget, guys, we're also going to have Jacob from Windy City with us.
Yes, absolutely. Jacob Infante. Thanks for reminding me, Tracks. The Windy City Gridirons, everything for both Bears and fantasy football will be here with us, friends, Friday night. So much coming up here.
Second year with him.
Yeah.
Second year with him for fantasy. We did this.
Yeah, he had us last year.
Did the same.
Started this off last year, so it's going to should be a great time with Jacob, friends. We going 8:00 Friday, Tracks.
Yeah, he wants to do 8, so it'll be a little bit early, kind of like what we did tonight for the draft. So hopefully, like you said, we get a little bit of NHL in there, just kind of throw it out there when it happens, and but we're going to be mostly fantasy that night. But we also tap into the NHL, and other stuff that Cleet's got specially whipped up for you, man. It's going to be like a really nice minestrone with a bunch of different vegetables.
Absolutely, a little bit of everything, ladies and gentlemen. Entrees and side stuff for you as well.
We love a good entree here on the man.
Absolutely,
a good entree.
Oh, I guess got me hungry for that. Entrees at our good friends River Street Tavern, ladies and gentlemen, where kids eat free every Thursday night. They are the proud sponsors of this next segment of Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse. Ladies and gentlemen, can we call 1-900-BULLPEN? As you know, the Chicago Fire Department has upped its arson charges against the pyromaniac Cubs bullpen to 78 counts of blown leads now. Fellas, you cannot trust this crew to hold your spot in line, let alone a lead. This bullpen has trouble holding the ball without it leaving the yard right now. And as Al Yellen, fellas, of Bleed Cubby Blue writes, this has become a Taylor Swift song. I think I've seen this movie before, and I don't like the ending. That's what it is with the Cubs bullpen that blew its 17th save of the year, Matt Cooper, in Monday night's 5-4 walk-off loss to the San Francisco Giants. The ending, as Tribune beat writer Megan Montero wrote, is inevitable with this bullpen. Coop, I'm so glad you were covering the national champion Tennessee Volunteers on Monday because you were spared watching that latest disaster movie. Coop, is there any hope for this Cubs bullpen right now other than blowing up the whole thing and starting from scratch?
No, there's not. This is not a good bullpen. It's been like this. So they've blown all the leads this year. It was 17? What are they at 17 now or 18 blown leads?
17. Yeah.
That right alone is incredible. It's only June 26th. And for a team to have that many blown leads, I was trying to look back to see some of the teams in the past and how quickly that has happened, and I cannot find that right now.
Yeah, you think about Coop. Let's just break that down. Let's be realistic. Let's say they hold on to half of those. Let's say they go 9-8. So they hold on to 9 of those save opportunities. That's 9 more wins, and then they're right there. They're a half game behind the Brewers. So that's just how bad this team has been. I mean, the starting pitching has been there. The offense was there in April. Then it decided to take an early vacation to Antarctica. But that is what is killing this team right now. The fact that there's nobody in that bullpen, I think, Matt Cooper, that you can hand the ball over to and be confident he's going to end that inning with you still having the lead or at least being tied.
Well, I'm looking at him right now. Drew Smiley came in yesterday, and boy, that was bad.
Yeah.
So he's at a 4.30 ERA right now. Hector Neris, 3.96. Tyson Miller, who they picked up from the Mariners, that was a couple of weeks ago. He's at 4.04. I mean, you look at the Colton Brewer, 4.41, who hasn't pitched very well the last couple of days. Mark Leiter Jr. was struggling a little bit now. I know he's injured right now. So
yeah.
But when you start looking at that, and you don't have a bona fide closer. That is a disaster. Your guys are not put in position. So when you don't have your closer like they were supposed to have in the beginning of the year, now you're having a lot of your relievers pitch out of position. And I think that's what's happened with this Cubs team. Now, it doesn't help when you have an offense that doesn't perform either. So I feel like sometimes a lot of these games, you got more pressure, especially from the bullpen, to hold on to that lead. I mean, what was it yesterday? It was 2-1 yesterday, the 8th inning. And I feel like when you know your offense is struggling and you can't score those runs, you're coming into those type of situations. And it might be mentally that you're thinking about it, but you cannot give up a run or two because that could be the ball game. So you put all of that together, and that's why the Cubs are at where they're at right now. And heck, the Brewers won again earlier today. So if the Cubs lose again today, they could actually be 11 games out of first place.
Yeah. Can you imagine 11 games out of first on June 26th, Coop? And that's the worrisome here too. And the thing about it, and obviously we know how hard Jed Hoyer, Carter Hawkins, the entire Cubs front office working to try to fix this for Craig Counsell. But you just get the sense, and you and I have seen this movie so many times with the Cubs and Sox with bad bullpens over the years, Coops. Basically, it's right now throwing darts, I think, throwing darts at the board, trying to see if anything hits. They brought in Tyson Miller. He was good for about a week and a half until he forgot how to locate his fastball. And like the guys you mentioned, Smiley, Leiter, Neris, just one after another. Nobody is in their natural spot. Nobody has found that groove of what their role is. I mean, there's no set of guys whatsoever. I think they're basically right now just setting this team up for losses. But Coop, right now, would you trust this Cubs bullpen to watch your house when you were out of town on vacation?
Of course not. That's an absolute no. I don't know. Could I trust the bullpen, the offense, the manager? I don't know if I can trust anybody on the team. You know, Clete, this is kind of a mystery to me because listen, we make it well known on the show. I'm the White Sox fan of the show. We don't even talk about them. But um I I was trying to remember a time where a team is underachieved so much like the Cubs have done this year so far. Like, listen, what am I saying they were going to go to the World Series? No. I still think the Phillies, the Dodgers, I mean, there's still the class of the league teams, the Padres. There's still some really good teams out there that I still think are further ahead. I guess you never know. But to see them where they're at right now in this division, like if they keep going further down, they play the Brewers this weekend. So let's say they go in and they go out like 11, 12, 13. That's done. Like the division's over with. And then you got to start looking at the wild card and what's happening here now in the National League because there's so many teams that are fighting for this wild card. You keep putting up losses to these teams in the National League, like 2 out of 3 from the Mets over the weekend. If you drop a series to the Giants this week, if you drop another series to the Brewers, like you're not going to get any of these tiebreakers at all when all these teams are bunched together for the wild card.
Yeah. Basically, there's no margin for error. They're pure chase mode here, and that's the problem. They're in chase mode without a bullpen, but history has proven that the odds are not in your favor. It's not going to end well. In getting back to your point, you and I both at the start of the season thought the same thing. We thought this front office had learned from the mistakes of last year's collapse. That terrible September swoon that led the Cubs to missing the playoffs by single game. It's crazy to believe right now that the team that kept them out of the playoffs last year, that leapfrogged them at the wire, was the Miami Marlins, who right now are the National League's version of the Chicago White Sox. But they learned nothing from that in terms of how to put together a team that can not only contend in the National League Central, but be a prime wild card team in the National League, which is only going to take 85, 86 wins, I think, Coop, in the long run. But kind of getting back to the issue at hand here is, like you said, we're at the halfway point of the season today. You're 6 games out. The Brewers aren't slowing down. And like you said, if this team gets swept, if they get swept by Milwaukee this weekend, they could be 11 out after today. You're talking about a team that could potentially be 14 or 15 games out of first in the Central on July 1st.
It's hard to picture that right now.
Yeah, isn't it?
And then you're going to start asking the questions. I don't know where you go after that. Do you start thinking of being in sell mode? If they keep playing the way they're playing right now, let's just put it in the hypothetical.
Yeah.
If they keep playing the way they're playing right now, they're not winning these series. They're not beating. I mean, the San Francisco Giants are not a very good baseball team either. I think they got the same records as the Cubs.
Yeah, I know.
They can't hit very well. And if you're going to lose you lost 2 already, you lose another one. If you lose 3 out of 4 to the Giants and then you go and you lose another series, it's like, how does this get better? I mean, anything can change, but how does this get better for the month of July?
Well, let's get back to that question you just asked, Coop. With this bullpen, it can't get better, and you would have to go into sell mode. Coop, how many games could this team potentially lose if they can't fix their bullpen problems? I mean,
guys, I hate to break rank, but I actually am a Cubs fan. I'm amazed at how much that a Sox fan is getting questioned these questions and knows as much as he does about my Cubs. But
I tell you what,
the thing about the Cubs that I have been faithful to a fault up until now, and I say that because my brother Aaron lives in California and he is a diehard Giants fan.
Yeah,
and he knows as terrible as they are, that we're actually worse. And I hung my hat by saying that Counsell was actually playing this team up, and that if we didn't have him on our team, we would actually have more losses. But now, with some of the decision making that he has had during these games that I've watched, I've actually had my eyes on these games, as far as the pitching changes go, and this and that. And also, I mean, you got to look at Jed. I think Jed's got to go, man. I really think it's going to take, Ricketts going to come up to him and say, hey, pack your bags. This whole San Diego thing with you is not really working out. The last best thing that you did was, I mean, we face it. We caught lightning in a bottle in 16 and everybody struck, at the right time. And, as far as like, our trade was San Diego, where we got Rizzo. To me, that was the best thing that he did. But after that, I think he's, outstayed his welcome. I think, we're living off of 16 still, the nostalgia of that.
Yeah.
I think it's time for a change. But I haven't really, he's just getting there. We really just got a little bit over the halfway point of the season. He doesn't really know these players all the way ins and out, but he's damn near close now. I mean, they've got quite a bit of games in there, and I'm really concerned about what's going on. But I also don't think that they're giving him enough to work with. It just, something's got to happen at the upper level,
Yeah, good points, Track. Because if they miss the playoffs this year, Tracks, it'll be the 4th straight year. And like Coop and I were talking about, I think they're gonna, if they don't fix this bullpen, Tracks, Coop, I think they're gonna lose 9th. I mean, because like Coop is saying, we're at the halfway point. And they've been pedaling backwards now for almost 2 months. And our good friend Cliff Victoria, I can't even watch this team. He doesn't even want to talk about the Cubs till they're over 500 because he's had his heart broken too many times. And that's just this summer, and that's coming from a lifelong Cubs fan who's used to this. Coop, how many games will this Cubs team lose if they can't figure out the bullpen?
I'm looking between 80 and 90 losses.
Okay.
If you're being realistic, probably between 80 and 90 losses.
Okay, Trex, what do you say? If they
so,
don't do anything at the deadline, if
I really thought that they were going to win anywhere between 85 to 89 games, and I did that with the Bears. Remember when we had that segment where we were trying to, and I was like, the floor is like 10 wins, Coop, and like potentially the ceiling could be up to 12 to 13. Mm-hmm. So I had like that little, and I kind of did that with the Cubs where, mid 80s to high 80s. Now, I don't know, bro. I'm almost thinking we'll be lucky if we get over 80 wins. I'm thinking more around the low 77 and the high of 80, 81, somewhere around there. And that's sad,
Yeah, I'm taking the over, guys. I hate to say this, and I hate to be a pessimist because that's not in my nature as a Cubs fan. But we gotta be real to folks. And I'm telling you, folks, if we don't get this fixed, this team's going 72 and 90. And I pray to the good Lord, folks, that I am wrong on that.
Me too.
All right, but let's talk about the other thing that's holding the Chicago Cubs back, Coop and Trax, and that's the fact that nobody can drive in a run with runners in scoring position to save their lives. Watching my daughter Mackenzie's softball team, the Dubuque Unicorns tonight, who we had a tough one with the Flamingos, fellas, tough one with the Flamingos. But I looked at these girls and how they were concentrating with runners in scoring position, and I just wondered if the Cubs maybe just take a look at how hard 6 and 7-year-old girls are trying, and maybe put that into their effort. And I know it's there, but it's just unconscionable to me to think and this is the random nature of baseball, that this Cubs team was the best hitting team with runners in scoring position in April. Right now is just on pace to be one of the historically worst teams in Major League Baseball history with runners in scoring position. They're hitting 230 right now, Coop. If there's a big X factor to why everybody's bat's falling asleep, what do you think it is?
I mean, you can go in any direction for this, but I think the one player that I don't think has looked right since he's come back is Suzuki. I mean, he was off to an incredible start, and he hasn't looked the same. I think there's a couple of Dansby Swanson. I think has looked a little bit better over the last couple of weeks, but I mean, he had a horrible start to his season. Christopher Morel, I think, is home run or nothing right now. Maybe you guys feel the same way, but I think he can put like power into that bat. But then he'll strike out, and then you got your head shaking. And it's just a mystery to me on how they've all come together like this with some of the record lows to start the season after last year where they all produced.
Yeah. Trax Coop brings up a good point. Is a simple Craig Counsell lineup shakeup can it fix the problem, or is the problems with the Cubs lineup much deeper than that, where they're going to have to make a decision if they're going to be buyers to go out and get a bat that can energize this lineup?
Well, I think that the latter is true. However, listening to Jet Hoyer, he says we could find the answer within. And I think the only answer within is getting rid of him and keeping him out, because I'm done with him, man. I think that's what it's got to take, man. I think that's what it's got to take. I'm sorry. I'm usually more the optimist, half full with my Cubs, and
it's hard to be one right now.
There's still some time on the clock. But face it, folks, we don't even have the campfire shake to look forward to. You know,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
hanging the W flag upside down right now because it's like Mickey Mouse out there. Hey, I want to tell you guys something really quick. I just noticed. Check this out. Do you guys realize? Oh, I got to exit full screen in order to. I think I can work inside of this. If I. Oh, what's going on? Is it froze? So, anyways, the first six out of the first 6 picks in the NBA draft this year, 3 of them were from France. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, how about that? How
That's
about
cool.
Wow.
yeah,
No, I didn't notice that.
And they
we've
all played
noticed,
with that dude that went to the Spurs, right?
yeah. Yeah, I think they've all been, but Tony Parker. They've all been inspired by Tony Parker, and I've read a couple of stories, tracks that Tony Parker to France is what Michael Jordan is to Chicago. He just opened up the door. I mean, opened up the door for thousands and thousands of kids to pick not only pick up the game, but learn the game and perform at a high level. And I think in terms of like quality of basketball leagues, like the French league is rated top 3, 4 in terms of quality of play and the type of the quality of athletes they have. So
There
yeah,
we
it's
go.
a big night for French basketball without question. And I think it's another sign. What do you think, fellas, too? Just how international the NBA game has become. I mean, we're looking at. I don't know what the international representation is, Coop, but you're talking about a league right now that is truly global.
Well, look at what Coop said earlier with the 12th pick of Oklahoma City that we're looking at right here. This Nikola Topic from Serbia. I mentioned that to Coop right away, and he knew what that dude was. He's like, that guy's solid, man. So
yeah, without question. Yeah, it's definitely a global league. And the thing about it too, I want to get your thoughts on that too, guys, because obviously we look at Tony Kukoc, one of the all-time great picks in Bulls history, even if we had to wait a couple of years on him. But I think Coop, when it comes to like Trex is talking about drafting, developing, and even being able to scout international stars, I think that's been a big problem with the Bulls because let's face it, when was the last post Kukoc, who's the last truly international star that we've hit on either in the draft or free agency?
Ooh, boy, I have to think about that one.
Yeah, I nobody comes to mind for me.
Not in the same year. It's just very interesting because I think when you think of outside of our country, you think of the biggest sport. Soccer is obviously is the
Yeah.
biggest out of a lot of countries, but basketball is right there next to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of these players coming from those leagues, especially in Europe, if you watch some of those games, they are packed to the max with fans, man. Like they are die hard, and these players play their hearts out. They have really good coaching over at some of these leagues, especially in Europe. And I think that's translating very well when they come here to the States. And I think that's why we're seeing our flux of these players coming in right now.
Good point there, Coop. Tracks, Coop brings up a good point. I mean, you look at the Mavericks, they've got Luka. You look at the Bucks, Tracks, they've got Giannis. I mean, you look at most of the elite NBA teams right now, they have at least one international player that's either a superstar or a big part of their core. Is that a factor X factor that could be holding the Bulls back? Because it seems like the NBA game is becoming more of an international type play game. We just haven't been able to have that forever.
yeah, and I thought honestly, I thought that when we got AK, we would see more of that
Yeah, I thought
because
so too. Yeah.
quite honestly, that center that he got in the second round, that's a perennial freaking league MVP. Why am I thinking I can't think of his name right now? The Denver Nuggets.
Jokic?
Yeah, dude, the Joker,
yeah.
like that guy every year, bro, and that was like AK right there. So I'm like, okay, well, is his downfall that he's still looking for the next Joker in the second round, and if it never happens, that he could build a team around that dude that the Bulls would pick up? Like, we're just sometimes people they have something in mind, and this is what it has to be, and they cannot deviate away from that, and adapt and overcome and change it up on the fly and improvise. I don't know if we're stuck in that whole deal, but I honestly, to your question, Cleet, I don't know why we haven't seen more international interaction with the
Yeah,
Bulls.
right, exactly, Trex. Because I'm thinking in my head,
AK's international too, right, bro? He's
yeah,
international.
yeah. And you think about am I right, Coop? The last 5 MVPs have been all international players. I'm at NBA.com right now, fellas. Listen to this. Last year, the NBA rosters featured a record 125 international players from 40 countries.
Jeez.
The Thunder and
Wow.
Mavericks, listen to this, guys. The Thunder and Mavericks each had 8 international players. So the majority of their rosters. That's a huge factor right there, too. And like you said, Trax, why AK hasn't been able to hit again. And like you said, if he's throwing darts at the wall trying to find the next Joker, he's going to have to work a little bit, dig it a little bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where AK goes after this. Where do we go now after Matas? As he continues to rebuild this roster in the offseason, guys. As you see, Darren Holmes, the second from Dayton, latest player to go. Still, I tell you what, Shannon's still on the board, guys.
Still there.
Boy, oh boy. Where is he going to go? How far could he fall, do you think, Matt Cooper?
Well, I would say not that much further, but I didn't think he was going to go this far. I thought he was going to be a top 15 pick. So it's crazy to see him go this down.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, exactly. Darren Holmes, the second power forward on Dayton, of course, going to the Heat. Bucks now on the clock. They have a pick that they have from the Pelicans. I don't see him going there. Trax, boy, are we possibly looking at a situation, and I hope not for his sake. We still have about 7 picks to go here. Could we be talking tomorrow night about Terrence Shannon still being available in the second round?
Do we have a second round pick? Because I hope so. Could we get one? Let's go. That would be amazing.
Yeah, teams are definitely dealing. I mean, if they wanted to get a second round pick, they'd have to give up something, but I think they could definitely facilitate a trade. So it's going to be interesting because man, that would be stunning. You know, I just thought having him in Iowa would be just natural. You know, two Illinois kids with good chemistry together, but obviously that's not in the AK's plans here. So interesting. All right, fellas. Really quickly, the great Cheryl Childers, Scoreboard Cheryl, giving us the update from the South Side. The first sellout of the year for the White Sox, unfortunately, ends in a bummer for those loyal fans who are just watching one of the worst teams in recent MLB history. Dodgers win 4-0. As Coop says, we're now at a halfway point. A team that's 21-60. And of course, right now, you're looking for the future. You're not looking for next year. I think you're looking for 2026, 2027. It's where you can get back to competitive. Coop, you and I talked about this earlier this summer with Mr. Chicago, Sean Lugo, on the Friday Night Monster Show. Luis Robert Jr., obviously, when healthy, is an MVP caliber player, all-star caliber player for sure. He's the White Sox best trade chip. Is it time to move Luis? And do you see him moving possibly before even the All-Star break?
Well, that's a good question. And here's my thoughts on Roberts right now. I think it's going to be very difficult for him. Do you realize he's hitting 190? He's hitting 190. He's got 7 home runs and 11 RBIs. Now, some of that's kind of tainted a little bit because he's been hurt, but he has not been very good since he's come back. He's had a lot of strikeouts. He can still play a very good center field. He could still pop one too when he gets a hold of it. But unless he starts getting back to his swing, unless he could start moving some of these numbers up, I don't know what you're going to get for him.
Right.
I think teams are going to look at him.
Yeah.
They're going to look at him like this guy's injury prone.
Yeah.
Coop, you know, honestly, I thought he would be more like an Aaron Judge. Not that he's as big as Aaron Judge, but he's still a tall, muscular, strong guy, right? I just saw on my screen that Aaron Judge hit his 30th home run, and you say that he's only got 7. He just hit the ball with a max velocity at 112.3 miles per hour, frozen rope for his 30th home run. That's the type of stuff that, as a Cubs fan, I was scared and terrified and like ready to get in a fetal position on a crosstown classic. You know, honestly, I was really worried about you big brothers over there, like the 2 big guys, you know, and Eloy and, you know, Robert. You know, I just don't. Or Robert. I can always say Robert because that dude from the Jazz. You know what I mean? So I get the two names, but you know what I mean.
I want the other one instead.
Right.
But I want the other for the Bulls, please.
Yeah, but Coop, you bring up a good point too. Like, this is how bad things are going for the White Sox. That Luis Robert Jr. is having such a poor year that he's making his trade value literally zero right now. Yeah. I agree with you. I think you have to hold on to him until at least hopefully late July when he hits up. The reason why I think he's going to go when he does get his groove back, and he should. He has one of the most team-friendly contracts in all of Major League Baseball. He signed through 2025 with $20 million club options through 2027. So any team that's looking for power, that reasonably priced power down the road is going to take a look at him. Down the road, he's going to go. The question is when. Who's going to get him? You think it will be the Phillies, the Dodgers, or maybe even a sleeper team like the Pirates, Coop?
I think the team that really needs him, when I'm looking at the teams that are really in contention right now, the first place teams especially, I think the Mariners might need him more than any of these teams.
Yeah.
Now, the Phillies are a team the Phillies are a team that wants to add up. The Phillies want to win this year. This is the year they need to win it all. And they will do whatever it takes for them to do that because they're starting pitching so good. So another bat in that lineup, I couldn't imagine because it's already a great lineup. But a team like the Mariners, who have probably the best starting rotation in baseball right now, or one of the best top 3 starting rotations, their offense isn't great and they need more production. So I think Robert would be a very good fit there, and they got a good farm system.
Yeah, without question. The fact is it's such a team-friendly deal. And then plus you're talking about if the White Sox move him, then you're talking about potentially, $60 to $80 million down the road that you will have to hopefully invest in this team. It's just, obviously Jerry Reinsdorf is still the owner, and this guy right now is making Ebenezer Scrooge look like a free spender. Cube at 21-60. What message? You are a diehard White Sox fan. You have been there through thick and thin. What message do you give to fellow Southsiders right now? I mean, gosh, there's not a fan base being put through the ringer in all of pro sports, in my opinion, right now, than White Sox fans. What do you tell them? I mean, do you go John Bon Jovi here, keep the faith, even though you know who the man behind the curtain is still at 88 years old and Jerry Reinsdorf?
Yeah, I say when you're going to go watch a game this weekend, whether it's tomorrow or Friday night, it is okay to have more than one beer after the first inning and have quite a few of them because that's what's going to take you to watch a full game. I'm as diehard as it gets for the White Sox. I have a hard time watching them right now. And the only reason why I watched them yesterday is I wanted to watch the Dodgers because I think the Dodgers are a really good team. I wanted to watch Freddie Freeman and I want to watch Ohtani.
Shohei's having
And I'm just like, man, wow. And then on top of that, the Dodgers keep bringing these players up that continue to produce. And I'm like, well, how come this can't happen here? Like, why can't we go sign a free agent and then we bring up our players that can produce as well? So,
Hey, John, I want to tell you really quick, John, that the Bulls can still draft Terrence Shannon. He has not been picked yet. So the possibility is still there for us to work out a trade, or maybe he falls into the second round or whatever. So that possibility is still there, John.
Yeah, but it's still there, John. And John brought up another good point too, Trax. He's there right now putting down a parlay of Chris Sale. How many former White Sox players now are we watching around the league starring for other teams?
We're about ready to watch another one because I was talking to my buddy Schnick yesterday or this morning, and he heard on the Sox that they were going to go ahead and shop their number one pitcher right now. That's just like amazing pitcher that's doing so good. I forgot his name, but they're talking about just shopping him for like 3 or 4 prospects or something.
Yeah, it's coming. Without question, it's coming. Unfortunately,
what's that pitcher, Coop? You know what I'm?
Garrett Crochet.
Yes, Crochet. That's the name. They're talking about shopping him right now for 3 or 4 potential.
He will be crocheting wings for another club soon. Back to Trax really quickly. Going back to your point, Trax, about the Bulls. Philadelphia, the 76ers, unfortunately own our second-round pick for this year. So as Trax said, John, the trade will be the option to get Shannon here. Looking at next year, the Bulls will currently have a first-round pick, and they also own the Portland Trailblazers pick only if it lands in the 15 to 30 range. Again, no second-round pick in 2025. That belongs to the San Antonio Spurs via a trade. So that's just how bad AK. Go back to your point too, Trax, about AK struggling not only to build a playoff roster with get international players on this roster as well, Trax, but this guy has not managed his draft picks well at all.
No, he hasn't. And I do like the point that Cliff brought up. He said, how cool would it be, speaking of international players, to have NBA teams in Europe, NFL teams in Mexico and England? And then he also said England is already pushing hard to get the Jacksonville Jaguars to move over there. So this international play is a big deal. And I'm kind of wondering, there's some names in here that I think might be international and be at colleges, judging by their names. I don't know a whole lot about, but Yves Missy, that might be somebody that's, So it'd be interesting to take a deep dive in this and see how many more are actually, coming out in the whole, but the fact about France, 3 out of the top 6, that's pretty freaking amazing. I would put that up with Kentucky or any other college that,
that's a good point. Yeah, Trax. That's like, that one year, Kentucky had 4 or 5 picks? No, they had one year where I think they had all 5 guys in their starting lineup. Go in the first round. One of those,
and they still did good the next year. They still played a I'm like, what the heck happened there?
Gotta love NBA Prep U without question. Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right. Well, my great friends, this has been so much fun. I wish I could stick around forever, fellas. Unfortunately, I got the office will be calling me at 6 tomorrow morning, guys. But this has been a blast. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I can't wait to be with you Friday night at 8 o'clock for our 2024 Chicago Sports Podcast, Monsters of the Madhouse, NFL Fantasy Football Draft Special, sponsored by Underdog Fantasy, fellas, and featuring special guest Jacob Infante of Windy City Gridiron. That's going to be a lot of fun, guys.
Can't wait, man.
Yeah.
Fellas, thanks so much for letting me pop in. Have a great rest of the show, guys. Great catching up with both of you as always. We'll see you Friday, guys.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Thanks again.
You bet. Thank you, fellas.
So, getting back to the draft, have you been taking a look at any of these picks, Coop? Anything that's caught your eye that's been exciting here?
No, man, nothing. Outside of the top. The guy I was talking about Connect earlier, him going to the Lakers. I thought that he went further down a little bit, so I was a little
Lakers.
surprised. Yeah, he went to the Lakers.
Okay.
And not so much after the first 15 picks. I felt like after that. Yeah. It's all you never know what you're gonna get after that, man. So no.
Well, you know what, man? Hey, I really appreciate you being here, being the constant professional. I'm glad you gave us a little bit of insight as far as some of these players through the draft. I'm sure the people in the chat and the 250 views we've already had, and that's without me even putting all the bells and whistles in YouTube Studio I forgot to do that. I dropped the ball on that. That's something that helps with the algorithms and everything. And I'll do that after the show, but we would have had a lot more people show up live if I had done that. But that just goes to show how popular this still is, and how much faith, how much bleeding hearts we still have out there as
I love it.
Chicago fans, just waiting and hoping that we're going to do the right thing, shoot, man.
I appreciate to all you guys watching too. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything here, Monsters of the Madhouse. So I can't thank you enough because taking your time to watch us talk about basketball and everything going on in Chicago sports, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we live for this. Like Coop, he works a full day. He takes off his, DJ, cape, his Superman cape, hops in here, gets himself looking funky fresh for you guys. And, me the same. I turn the lights on. I get everything ready. And we do this for you because at the end of the day, our jobs are pretty cool. And we're both blessed and grateful for them. But this is what makes our week, spending it with you guys. So like Coop said, man, thanks for showing up, you guys. We appreciate you. We love you. be a friend, tell them all about us. And thanks again until Thursday night with Pinky and Q and the fellas and Bruce and all them. They're looking forward to have a great show with you guys tomorrow night, getting a deep dive into the Bears and really get, pumped up and excited about that, break some fresh news, and hopefully there'll be some news like we've had a couple times during some of our shows where something just pops off and we've been able to, remember what was the last one with breaking news with Kaplan. Dave Kaplan was able to break something to us. So that was pretty cool. So
that was cool.
Yeah, you never know, fellas. So, hey, Coop, thanks again for answering the bell, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Oh, thank you. And thanks to everybody else. Thanks, man. Good to talk to you tonight.
All right. See you guys. Until next time.